little while. At the moment, to get a full user object, because we're doing simple CRUD stored procedures, requires a call to the get user and a call to the get base object procedures, basically. That is a sort of a constraint that we've got because of the fact that we've stuck to stored procedures, because we've decided that we need to have control over everything. So if a user's saved, it has to be, you don't want to be repeating the same logic in a get user stored procedure. You don't want to have to join with get object to get all of its wider fields, because then as soon as you change the object table and you've got, I don't know, 60 object types in your database, suddenly you've got to change the select columns in all 60 of those stored procedures. So while we're not doing dynamic generated queries, this really is a limitation. Obviously sensible caching can optimize the performance. Commonly used objects, different types, we'll be able to store those in application memory, so it doesn't necessarily sound as bad as it could be. No. But on a worst case we could end up with 2 queries to retrieve an object, which that's just
you don't need one really.
Just
a lot of hits.
It is quite a lot of hits. It there's a save,
only if you
optimise it up later. And
that was the idea of the lazy loading domain object, though. So if you're instantiating a user, you never go and look at its version number. In this example, it won't hit. It'll still only be one query. In EasySite at the moment, if you want to get related information, it'd be another call to the database. So there's no difference there. But if you do want to get the version off a user, you wouldn't expect that information to be in the get user stored procedure, because it certainly wouldn't be now, and it certainly won't be when we go ahead. So you're no worse off than you are now. Well, you're infinitely better off than you are now. But the beauty is the person who's doing the user stuff doesn't need to know how any of that stuff's sourced and shouldn't even care.
No.
And so the gains kind of outweigh the negatives there. Really.
And anything that's calling object GUID or version on the interface, domain object info, also doesn't have a clue whether or not it's getting the normal one or if the lazy load's happening. It's not its business to care really, so it doesn't. It never knows. In fact, we found it was quite funny. We were trying to prove that the lazy load actually happened, but because the debugger was attached, the moment we accessed that property, the lazy load happened behind our backs, and it was quite fun. Because you think, yeah, it must have worked. Day. It was a long day. It was a good day though. Yeah, so that's really the object model there over the right hand side.
I think you should explain stores as an abstract concept.
That's right. First, yeah. Now we've done the objects. Stores, repositories, whatever other word you can think about them.
I had a good name for providers. I was going to call them.
Providers are a very Microsofty word for it as well. So yes, provider. Anything like these, they're basically sort of abstractions of a data store, almost a collection. You can almost treat the database as a collection. So you can add things to it, modify items in it, and delete things from it. So you have the base stores, and they just have, again, the basic CRUD operations available to them. Up at the top left of the picture, you've got the domain object store interface, which has just those things. Squeeze a little bit of generics in here to save a bit of code writing. Your T-domain object in the generic definition is an I-domain object. That's a constraint on that. We have a couple of events. Hi Matt. We have a couple of events which fire when create, update and delete